What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Life's a Garden. If you're new to the program, do me a favor. Subscribe and follow on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. When you're done with that, share it with a friend and have them subscribe and follow as well. That's how you can help grow this garden, and it's always appreciated. Today's positive motivational message is death is not the end. When we die, we live on past our physical form. And of course, I could be referring to, spirituality, whatever your thoughts on the afterlife are. And totally valid. Everybody has their thoughts and opinions on things like that. But that's a conversation for another day. What I'm referring to is your memories. The memories that you leave on your loved ones, your friends, your family. The lasting memory that you hold in their minds. Just from being a funny person, a helpful person, doing good deeds, just being an overall good person will leave a lasting memory on those around you. And through those memories, you live on. I have a great quote from the late Ultimate Warrior, who said these words ominously before he died, days later. Every man's heart one day beats its final beat. His lungs breathe their final breath. And if what that man did in his life makes the blood pulse through the body of others and makes them believe deeper in something larger than life, then his essence, his spirit, will be immortalized. And what that's saying is, if you make a lasting impact on others, it could be through grand gestures, it could be through small gestures. No matter what, if you are a good enough person to leave a lasting memory on those around you, you will be immortalized within their memories, and you will live on beyond your physical form. So keep that in mind as you go through your life. Have that impact, and for those around you that leave an impact on you, keep their memories alive as well, so that we can immortalize them forever as along. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into today's episode. It's episode 260 of Life's a Garden. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me here yet again on another fantastic week of Life's a Garden. Do want to remind everybody out there that my band Cutthroat will be playing at the Pub Station September 6th. Tickets are currently on sale. You can get them at the Pub Station box office. You can get them online, and you can get them through the band. We're going to be picking up some tickets, so we will have them for sale offhand. If you want to come in, I'm going to give a stack to Aaron down at the Crystal, so you can come in and get tickets there. Or, like I said, just at the Pub Station box office. We're playing alongside Render Me Silent, Pine Box Radio, and Bloodless. It's going to be a great night of local music, so please, we ask for your support. Come on in, and it means a lot to local music to have as many people in there as possible. I also want to mention my band will also be playing August 25th. That's a Monday at Craft Local. So a couple of shows coming up for the band. Very excited about that. And yeah, I'm gonna promote it pretty much every week, so long as up until the dates, because it's just another form of advertising that I can do right here on the podcast for free. Also, other exciting stuff going on. Someone's got a birthday, I wonder who. Someone's got a birthday, I wonder who. It is, in fact, that time of year again. I age an extra year. I put another year in the books. Thursday, July 31st is my birthday. I'll be turning 32. They just become less and less special every year, I tell you. You know, all the landmark days, or all the landmark years, we already got past 20, we did 21, 30, I guess, was one. The next one's going to be 40, and I will be depressed as fuck. So, I'm not even sure I'll celebrate. Of course, I am going to be celebrating, as always. I do enjoy celebrating my birthday. In fact, I think we might as well crack us open a nice ice-cold Coors Light just to celebrate here on the podcast. Delicious. Yeah, 32. Don't really have a whole lot of opinions on that. Last year was a kind of a, as you might consider a monument birthday. It was my golden birthday. I was 31st on the 31 on the 31st. Now it just seems to mean very less and less. I'm getting older, and that sucks. It's not fun anymore. I don't want to get old. And I don't think any of us do. And I'm still not to that point where I'm Mr. Pouty, oh man, I'm such an old crone. I understand, 32 is still very young. And there's plenty, I think about some of my friends and them that are, pushing their 40s, they're getting into their 40s, some of them are pushing to their 50s. And, hey, we all got our shit. And so long as that's the case, I'm not going to bitch about being 32, right? 32 ain't that bad. And I'm good with it. So, I will be out celebrating downtown. Going to go to the last Alive After 5, which is at Hooligans. It's going to be right there on Broadway. If anybody wants to come hang out, if anybody wants to come buy me a drink, I'm not going to say no to that. But if you want to come out, have a good time, hang out, and that's probably what I'm going to do all night, is just hang out downtown, probably go sing some karaoke, and get fucked up. Because I already got a DD, we're good to go. Chains are off. Anytime I know I got a ride home, the chains come off, and we let loose, because there's no need to be cautious. That we could throw caution to the wind. And that should be very interesting. I don't know if I'm excited or scared. I don't know if other people should be excited or scared. We're going to find out, though. But yeah, no, I hope a lot of people come out. I've always liked birthday parties, I think we're past party. We're past the party term. I've always liked birthday celebrations, going out, because you get your friends out. It's a nice time to have a lot of people around that you normally might not see at the same time together. So that's always just a nice feeling, and it is nice to have people, wish you a happy birthday and buy you a drink and just hang out and have some fun. It's just a good time, and I'm always down for a good time. Unfortunately, this year, my birthday has been a little bit casted by shadow this past week. It was a hell of a crazy week. Lost quite a few big names. And then we also ended up losing somebody here in town. One of my friends lost her daughter in a tragic car accident. She was only 20 years old. And it's just a huge bummer, my heart breaks for her and her family. That no parent should ever have to bury their child. And for it to be such a quick, a sudden death like that is just so traumatic. When it's, I guess every death is traumatic, right? Every time somebody passes away, we don't take it lightly. I guess I feel like if it's somebody I know and they're dying of an illness or something like that, and you can kind of like prepare yourself a little bit, it makes the pain a little less. But when it's so sudden like this, I lost my uncle that way. I lost my dad that way. My dad died in a motorcycle accident. Sudden deaths where you never saw it coming. It blindsides you completely. It's horrible. And again, no parent should ever have to bury their child. So I feel so bad for her. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video or of this podcast, both audio and video. There is a place to donate for funeral costs. I know, it might not be somebody but I'm going to offer my platform to maybe help. So if anybody out there, wants to donate, $5, $10, anything helps. It's for funeral costs and for, she's going to have to take a lot of time off of work and stuff like that. So just trying to help out a friend. In addition, we lost an absolute legend in Ozzy Osbourne earlier this week, which, man, I gotta tell you, I remember being 15 years old. I had a CD player, a Walkman CD player that I would play my discs on. I mean, speaking about age, I'm showing my age pretty significantly here talking about Walkmans. And I had a whole binder, it was probably, a CD case full of different CDs that I would just listen to on the bus or walking to wherever I was heading. And one of those CDs I had was The Essential Ozzy, which had a bunch of, hits. It was basically just a best of album. And it covered so many years of Ozzy, and it included Black Sabbath as well. And I remember just how much his music impacted me as a young kid, and how genuine of an artist Ozzy was, lyrically, vocally. He found some of the greatest guitar players of all time. Zakk Wylde, Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee. Like, he had a knack for finding musicians. And that's not, we're not to leave out the drummers and the bass players and all that. He always had a knack for talent. Of course, Black Sabbath, one of the greatest bands of all time. And Ozzy's music helped shape me as a musician as well. And of course, Black Sabbath's legacy, the brand of music that I love and play, would never exist. I mean, you have to imagine at some point a version of it may have come along, but we'll never know. And we're not going to play the what if game. We know Black Sabbath created heavy metal. That is a fact. And so, without them leading the charge, we can't play the what if game. Who knows what may have happened? They inspired so many artists and musicians. And so, we have them to thank for that, of course. But I remember thinking, as I was listening to Ozzy and just looking up to Ozzy and I understand at a very young age the impact that Ozzy had on on the music community from so many different angles. And I remember thinking to myself, the day Ozzy Osbourne dies is going to be a devastating day for not only all musicians, but for me. I knew that was going to be one of those, and I'm not a big sentimental celebrity guy, you know, like, I don't get, like, heartbreak over many celebrity deaths. You know, I don't know them on a personal level. It's not like losing your family member or, you know, a close friend, something like that. But there are certain people, there are certain famous people, you know, artists, musicians, who do leave an impact on you. I was inspired heavily by Ozzy. And so the day comes and Ozzy, you know, we get the news that Ozzy is dead, and sure as shit, I felt it right here in my heart. Absolute devastated. And from a 15-year-old kid to, you know, almost a 32-year-old adult, that never changed. Like, I always had that same reverence for Ozzy all these years later. And it does suck, you know. Like I said, I'm not overly sentimental when it comes to, like, people that aren't close to my life. But when it's somebody like an artist who does in fact impact you and inspires you to create music and to go on to do, you know, the things I've done in music and to even try. Yeah, it definitely sucks and it leaves a mark on you when they die. And you hurt a little bit for that. And you pay the tribute. You want to honor them. And this is another, like I said in the beginning, you know, when we die, it's all about the memories and the lasting legacy that you leave on somebody's life. I you know, I look at it in the sense of a personal basis, you know, like the close ones to you. But as an artist, as a musician, as a, you know, you could be an actor, or you can be like a painter, you know, you can leave a lasting memory on others. You can inspire people. You can with all that, you know, that does leave an impact on you. Like, I'll remember Ozzy forever. Not because of, you know, the crazy antics or the fucking, you know, the snorting the ants or the biting the head off the bat or the reality TV show. No. That's more of the celebrity, you know, this is what I'm known as type, all that shit. That's like the celebrity side of it. The artist side of it, what I will remember is the lyrics, the songs, the passion. He was one of those guys where he truly was passionate about his craft. There's so many artists and musicians that are just doing it for a check, or, you know, it's not all about the art. Ozzy was not one of those guys. And yes, Ozzy was very wealthy, and Ozzy was very good at promoting his work. But it was always the art and the music first. And I think all you have to do to see that is in that final performance. And that part of it, in and of itself, is just so wild to me. The fact that Ozzy just performed his final show just a few weeks before his death. And it's just so picture perfect. And it's almost like it was planned this way. I know that he had stopped taking a lot of his medication for his Parkinson's leading up to that show so that he would be able to perform. But when you watch some of the clips of that performance, when he's singing Mama, I'm Coming Home with tears in his eyes, knowing that this is my final performance, at the very end, when he wraps it up with Black Sabbath, and he's trying to stand up, he wants to stand and have that final bow, that final standing place on that stage. But he's unable to, and you can just see his frustration and the pain that he can't stand and acknowledge the crowd and acknowledge his bandmates. That's passion. That's somebody who not only, had such a high passion for what he did and the music and performing. That's also a man who knew, this is it. And I think it's a man who knew that his life was coming to an end very soon. I don't know if he thought it would be this soon, but I think somewhere he knew that this had to happen now because, his time was coming to an end. It's very ominous. It really is. But it's beautiful at the same time that they were able to make this happen and that he was able to have that last bow. And honestly, can I just say for just a quick second here, as crazy as Ozzy's, you hear all these wild stories, and of course, there's the drinking and the drug abuse, and there's a lot of partying and wild shit like that. The fact that Ozzy was one of the number one rock stars of all time, a huge celebrity, revered within the metal community, and never really had like a major scandal of any kind, speaks a lot to his character. As whatever you want to think, if you're an outsider to the metal community, and maybe you have a pre-existing thought of what you think Ozzy's character is like, I think that speaks volumes. When you think about all these celebrities, and especially now, so many of them getting caught up in so many different scandals, Ozzy was never one of them. He had the stature and the power to do so. If he could have abused his position of power for sure, as so many of them do, but he never did. He stayed alongside Sharon. He was loyal to his wife all this time. He never cheated on her. I think that speaks volumes to a guy that I think gets painted in a poor light sometimes. And when I say that, of course I'm speaking about like the outside community that doesn't really know Ozzy. Obviously, if you know Ozzy, you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, just rest in peace to the Prince of Darkness, A man who will, in fact, have a lasting legacy in my mind, and so many others. Like he is immortalized forever in what he's been and what he has done for for all of music, for the metal community. Absolutely one of one legend. And this might be one of those, when I speak about celebrity deaths that have an impact on me, that would actually like get me emotional, that list is very, very short. Like there are very few. Most of them are musicians because of the inspiration aspect. But for the most part, that list is extremely short. And Ozzy, he was probably pretty close to the top of that list. So this one was pretty devastating for me. And, and so many others. So, to our Prince of Darkness, rest in peace. In addition, we also had, what's his name? I don't want to. It was Theo from the Cosby Show, and I want to get his name right. It was Michael Cosby. What is his name? Oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm glad I looked it up. I thought it was Michael. It's Malcolm Jamal Warner. Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away earlier in the week, and then following Ozzy was Hulk Hogan, who, this is a guy, Hulk Hogan, who had many, issues in his personal life, was not the squeakiest of clean celebrities, but nonetheless made a huge impact on the wrestling community, like probably the most influential wrestler of all time, especially when you think about the era that he came up in. Like, he almost single-handedly, Vince McMahon aside, as far as like personalities and wrestling characters, Hulk Hogan brought pro wrestling to the mainstream. He was the first to sell action figures and merchandise and do television shows. He brought it to the mainstream. And was I always the biggest Hulk Hogan fan? No. I never really cared much for that character. I thought it was, very over the top and kind of corny. However, I will say, when Hulk Hogan went and did the NWO and in WCW, that was phenomenal. That was great television. It was awesome to see him do the heel turn. One of the greatest heel turns of all time. And I liked that version of Hulk Hogan. The Hollywood Hogan. That was incredible. Now, the main Hogan character that we all probably know the best, not my favorite. But, nonetheless, I recognize the impact that Hulk Hogan had on the wrestling world. And while wrestling is not exactly something that I am super into anymore, it was a huge part of my childhood, and it was something that I, really, really enjoyed as a kid. And even something that later in life I considered doing as a profession. Obviously, that did not work out. But regardless, I understand and I respect the impact that Hulk Hogan had on the wrestling world, and in addition, on the entertainment industry in general. So, I was a big Cosby guy, so I can't really say a whole lot about Malcolm Jamal Warner. But, again, these celebrity deaths, they come in threes. They really do. Every time a big one goes, there's two more to follow. And these were the trio in this case. So, cheers to all of them. Cheers to their families. May they all rest in peace. And hopefully their legacies will live on far past what their physical life has given them. Just a great week for my birthday. Just so much death. When we're talking about birth and life and living and gaining another year of life, all this death creeps up just to remind me that, oh, I am 1 year older. I too am creeping closer to the Reaper. So that's been awesome. That's been great. In reality, though, I think death is a very important tool to recognize so that we are reminded that we need to live our lives more properly, and that, like I said, the message of this week, which is leave a legacy, leave a memory, be that person. Like, not to sound egotistical at all, but my hope is that when I die, I want there to be 500 people at my funeral. You know what I mean? Like, I want there to... because that means I made an impact on that many people. You know? Whatever it might have been. I just want to have made enough of an impact that people cared enough to say goodbye to me. You know? Like I want to have had that for somebody. I don't want them to have a negative thought of me. You know what I mean? Like, that's the last thing. I don't want anybody to, you know, I don't want to be a bad thought on somebody's mind. That would be, you know, that would make me feel so horrible. Why would anybody want that? So the best thing you can do is just lead with a positive attitude and be a good person and help people out and make somebody laugh and create art that hopefully people will enjoy. Like, I hope that this podcast has served as some form of entertainment and maybe some form of motivation at times for the listeners. I hope my music has had some kind of impact, helped, you know, just even if it's just entertainment. It doesn't have to be inspirational. I don't need to inspire somebody to sing or write lyrics or whatever, and I don't need my lyrics to necessarily have an impact on the people that listen to it. The least I could hope for is that it was entertaining and that it gave somebody joy at a certain point in life. Anything like that. Yeah, I do want people to miss me. I want people to remember me fondly. I don't think that's egotistical at all. I think that's a great way to lead your life. Because then you'll go forward in life doing good things and being a good person. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Billy Bob Thornton actually had a quote that I found very profound. Let me see if I can find it. It was about his brother who had passed away. Billy Bob Thornton, brother. I would quote it for you. I've listened to it before. That's probably the long version. But yeah, here we go. I think this is very prophetic, and I think it's very it's an interesting way of looking at loss and looking at the ones that we've loved, that we've lost. So here.
Yeah, I've never been the same since my brother died. There's a melancholy in me that never goes away. I'm 50% happy and 50% sad at any given moment. And the only advice I can give people for when you lose someone like that is you won't ever get over it. And the more you know that and embrace it, the better off you are. I don't want to forget my brother, and I don't want to forget what it felt like when he died, because he deserves it. That's how important he was to me.
That's right there. You don't want to forget the pain. You don't want to forget. These people deserve for you to remember. And if you feel pain when somebody dies, it means you loved them so much. The more you hurt, the more you loved. And it's such a dark twist on it, really, because, you know, there can really be no love without pain. It's that light in the darkness type thing. It's there cannot be good without evil. You can't love somebody enough without being able to feel the pain, because when they're gone, whether that's when they leave your life or they leave this plane of existence, you will feel pain if you love them enough. So it's that yin and yang. But the pain is not a bad thing. The pain is a reminder of how much you loved those people. And I think that's important to remember as well. Let's move off of the doom and gloom for a little bit, huh? I know it's my birthday episode, and I'm just soaking it all in with all this death talk and talking about all the talking about loss and pain. What a great way to celebrate the birthday, huh? But we will change the subject a bit to a more very exciting, very well anticipated event that is about to take place here soon. King of the Hill is back. August 4th, the return of the king. And boy, oh boy. I mean, if you're a longtime listener of this show, you know that I asked 2 years in a row. I have asked for this on my Christmas list. It's been a gift I've been waiting to receive for Christmas the last 2 years. Little did I know I would actually be receiving it for my birthday. So that is a very happy birthday present to me, is that I will get to be seeing my favorite show return after 15 years. 15 years! I started watching King of the Hill. I probably started really watching King of the Hill in 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. I remember I was in high school, so it must have been like 9th grade or 10th grade. We'll go ahead and say 10th grade, which means I've been watching King of the Hill. That's about when they stopped airing, really, because it's been 15 years since I started watching. So from the time I started really watching, they've been off the air. There's been no new episodes. This will be my first time getting to really experience a brand new episode as it's being released, which is incredible. It is my favorite show of all time. I mean, I have all the seasons just right here behind me. I've probably watched every episode of King of the Hill on average, I'll say 15 to 20 times, if not more. This is a show I fall asleep to. Like, this is a show if I can't go to sleep, plug King of the Hill on, it is my comfort food. I will knock out immediately because it's like a warm blanket around my soul. That shit will warm me to a peaceful place. And the excitement I have is just palpable. We got all the characters back. I should also mention, speaking of celebrity deaths, Chuck Mangione also died, who in King of the Hill was the spokesperson for Megalomart. I think he died the same day as Hulk Hogan. Yeah, so just add it to the list. And also add it to the list of King of the Hill voices that have passed on now. God, we've lost quite a few lately. But we're done talking about death. We're talking about good, positive things. We're talking about the rebirth of something. The rebirth of a great television show. Now, one thing I will say that I am a little bit bummed out about, I'm not psyched about the fact that they're releasing all 10 episodes at once, mainly because there goes my day. When that gets released, that's all I'm doing that day. Like, there's 0 upon 0 chance I don't binge it all immediately. I could try to watch 1 or 2 episodes and be like, okay, well, I'll save the next 2 for tomorrow, or I'll save the next 2 for later on. There's no fucking chance. I will watch 2 episodes, and I'll have to just keep watching. I'll just have to see the next one. If it takes me till 2 a.m., I'm gonna watch all the episodes at once. Which, yeah, I am a little bummed out about, because I don't want to just burn through it all, and I don't have enough self-control to be able to, like, not watch it if it's available. If it's there to watch, I'm watching it. I wish they were doing a slow roll where they would release it, an episode every week, where I had, like, scheduled television. Like, I could schedule, Wednesday night, the new King of the Hill comes out. That would be amazing. I would love that. Have something to look forward to. Unfortunately, that's probably not, obviously I'm going to have to just binge it and just burn all the material at once. So I'm a little upset about that. At first, I was a little bit concerned about the animation style, because based on the trailers, it doesn't have the same exact vibe as the original. But the more I've watched the trailers and the more trailers that have been released, the more I'm coming around to it and the more I'm like, okay, of course it's going to be a little bit different. It's 15 years later. We're not going to have the same style. You got to adapt a little bit. And, I'm not going to be too particular about that. At first I was, but, I've let that go. And the more trailers that have come out, the more excited I'm getting. Of course, anytime you do a reboot, anytime you take something that's classic and has been out for, again, it's been 15 years. And the fact that they're going forward with a brand new story, they've aged all the characters by, I believe, 10 or 15 years, the same amount of time as it's been since the show last aired. And you're going to be doing it with basically new characters. Like, you have the same characters, but now we all have to adapt to them being older. Especially characters like Bobby and Connie and Joseph, who were children that are now going to be adults. Likewise, you have Hank and Boomhauer and Dale and all these guys who were used to seeing as 30-year-old men are now going to be in their 50s. Or, late 40s, early 50s. I can't remember. I honestly don't remember. If I had to, I believe by the end of the series, Hank was probably around 35 to 38. So you do the math. 15 years from that, he's 50 or he's 53, right? So that's different. We're talking about a 50-year-old main character that we have to start. Is it going to be the same? Is Bobby going to be more of a focal point as a main character? Obviously, Hank has to be still the main character. It's going to be interesting. I'm very excited. I hope I'm not disappointed. Because you always run the risk when you do something like this that it could completely flop. Now, I trust Mike Judge enough that he's going to nail this out of the park. I believe in him. But we'll find out. And we will find out very soon. August 4th, the new one drops. So, if you know me at all, you know that I'm just the biggest King of the Hill fan that there is. So, this is about as good of a birthday present as I could ever receive. The King has returned. Speaking of classic movies and shows being rebooted for a sequel, Happy Gilmore 2 just came out. And, of course, in addition to being a huge King of the Hill fan, I am also a huge Adam Sandler fan. Love classic Adam Sandler. And I'm very specific when I say classic Adam Sandler because a lot of the newer stuff isn't really my jive. There have been Dark Horse movies that have come out that I've enjoyed, like Grown Ups, and Just Go With It was a really good one. He's had a few that have hit the last few years, or the last 10 years, I should say. But classic Adam Sandler, like, don't fuck with me on that. I don't even want to hear it. If you have a negative take on that, on Adam Sandler, the way his comedy is, don't want to hear it. You're wrong. So, you're taking a movie that has been out for 20 some years, more than that, 30 years, quite possibly. I don't even, it might have came out in like 93 or 95, somewhere in there. So, very easily a 30-year-old movie. And now you're coming out with a sequel That's very risky, especially when it comes to classic comedy, because you look at the amount of times they've done this. Dumb and Dumber 2, shitty movie. Anchorman 2, I wouldn't call it shitty, but it wasn't great. Definitely didn't live up to the hype. Joe Dirt 2, still have never seen it because Joe Dirt is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I refuse to have that ruin it for me at all. Ace Ventura 2, definitely a dark horse. Like that was a they swung and nailed it out of the park with that one. Very rare that a sequel is that good, but they also did it like a year later. You know what I mean? So they were still running hot. It wasn't like 30 years down the road or even 10 years later. Anytime they do these classic comedy movies and then try to bring them back all these years later, rarely does it ever work out. So, needless to say, knowing that, sequels aren't typically very good, and knowing that more modern Adam Sandler isn't quite my flavor, it's pretty reasonable to assume that I had very low expectations about this movie. And I did. I wasn't prepared to see an instant classic. I wasn't prepared to see something that was going to blow me away, or especially something that was going to live up to the original. That was never on my mind. All I wanted was for them to not ruin the source material, and for them to just make it funny. Just make me laugh, right? And they succeeded. Was it an absolute gem of a movie? No. It doesn't go into my all-time greatest hits list, for sure. Do I regret watching it? No. I thought they did very well with the story. I thought they did a decent job making a little bit of a more nuanced take on it. They had endless celebrity cameos. Like, so many. Almost too many celebrity cameos. But it was still done in a fun way. I love that they had all the professional golfers in there. I'm not going to spoil anything because it did just come out. I'm just giving you an overall review. But I did think, and you know what? Here's the ultimate thing. I didn't think there were so many cheesy things that it ruined the movie, which I feel like happens a lot with newer Adam Sandler movies. I think it's a little over the top in the absurdity. Like Hubie Halloween, that's another great movie, but it's very over the top in absurdity. They did have some of that in this movie, but it, like I said, I don't think it ruined the movie for me. And there were at least 3 or 4 times that I was gut bust laughing. And that is rare when it comes to newer movies, especially newer comedy. So my overall review, it gets 2 thumbs up from me. Mostly because it well over exceeded my expectations. If you're going into this thinking that it's going to be this awesome sequel and that it's going to live up to the hype of the original, just don't do that. Go into it with a fresh take. You've seen the classic. Know that the classic is classic and it will never be better than this. The classic will never be beaten. And just kind of, be open-minded. There are funny parts in this movie. There are laugh-out-loud worthy moments in this movie. Like I said, I thought the storyline was pretty good for what they had. I thought there was a lot of... They had a lot of callbacks to the original. They had a lot of homages to, Carl Weathers and Bob Barker even. There was callbacks and there were homages to these people who have left us, which I thought was great. There's a lot to like about it. If you're a fan of Adam Sandler, you should enjoy this movie, because I've seen some Adam Sandler movies that are just absolutely atrocious, and this one would not fall in that category, in my opinion. So, it was fun. We went up and watched that with my buddy Mac and his cousin. That was pretty cool. We had a little movie night. And then afterwards, we went golfing the next day, which was awesome. And we played a great round of golf. It was a great time. It was a really golfy weekend. But yeah, got some Adam Sandler in my life. Got some King of the Hill coming up. These are some nice positives for my birthday. And I'm very, very happy about it. So, with all the tragedy going on right now, it's nice to have something that you can watch to comfort your soul a little bit and to ease your mind from all the bad. That's pretty much all I had for this episode. Now, I did want to say I should have mentioned this at the top of the show. There will be no podcast next week. I've already decided, I'm going to enjoy my birthday weekend, and I'm just going to skip the podcast for next week. I can give you a recap on all the birthday shenanigans the week after. Hopefully I'll have a guest by that time. That would be nice, since we are on like our 5th or 6th straight solo episode. And again, I'm coming to you late this week, so, it'll be nice to have a little break. And I'll get to just enjoy my birthday. So no podcast next week. It'll be fine. We'll be good. I did mean to mention that at the beginning, but I kind of forgot. Let's close this out, seeing as that it is my birthday. I'm going to ask Microsoft Copilot, our AI friend here on the podcast. I'll just ask him to give me some birthday questions. He can interview me for my birthday to end us out on the podcast here. So let's go ahead.
Hey, D. Craig 3.
Hey, it's my birthday coming up here soon, and I'm on the podcast right now. I was wondering if you might be interested in interviewing me for the end of this podcast episode. Perhaps some questions regarding my birthday or things about my life that I can share here on the podcast.
I'm down for that. Let's dive into your birthday plans. Maybe some reflections. And even your favorite memories. Ready when you are.
Ooh, okay. Well, I've already talked about my birthday plans. I'm going to go out to Hooligans, and I'm going to, hang out with some friends and probably get a little drunk. I do have a safe ride home, so don't you worry about that. Some memories. I don't know.
Nice.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're set for a fun time. Since you've got the plans locked, let's dive into those memories. What's one birthday memory that really stands out for you?
That's a good one. Let me think about that for a quick second. Birthday memories. I remember being a kid, and having all my friends around. That was always fun. It was always great to have the friends around. I remember one year my mom got me a limousine to have with my friends. Oh, I do remember one time I was in elementary school and I had worked all night long, like literally in 2 o'clock in the morning. This is how long I was working on this. I watched Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on VHS, so that dates me a little bit. I watched that movie on repeat probably 2 or 3 times. That's a 3-hour movie. And I'm pretty sure I watched it 2.5 times while I was cutting out and making Power Ranger masks and morphers, because I was going to have my friends dress up and play Power Rangers with me. All of that work only to just abandon the entire idea the very next day. I had talked about it with the friends, and none of them were interested in it. So I just was like, okay, we're not going to do that. Spent all that time making all that stuff just to be like, okay, well, we're just not going to do it anyway. So that was a decent memory as a kid.
That's dedication. Even if the plan didn't pan out, it's a testament to your creativity and passion. Even back then, what a journey. Would you say that energy for making things has stuck with you into adulthood?
Oh, you know it has. I make music and all that. We got the band going on. Obviously, I'm here creating this podcast. This is something that I can use as a creative outlet. I've always enjoyed sports and talking about sports and watching all that. That's not really creative, but, you know, when it comes to music and podcasting, that's a nice creative outlet, I think.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic outlet. Your knack for creating and sharing through music and podcasts is your personal superpower. Keeps life interesting, right?
Are you just trying to stroke my ego because it's my birthday?
Maybe a little. But your creative fire deserves recognition every day, not just on your birthday. Think of it as a birthday boost. Keep shining, D. Craig 3.
I need to change my name on here because... Are you able to change my name on here for me?
I can't change it for you, but you can update it in your settings.
All right.
What name are you thinking of switching to?
My actual name, which is Dakota.
Nice choice, Dakota. Makes it more personal.
Yeah.
You got this.
Okay, so go ahead. Why don't you ask me some, like, what would be a good birthday celebration question, or not about celebrating my birthday. Ask me some kind of a question that's a little bit more like about my life, I guess, or something that's maybe a little bit more nuanced that you might ask somebody on a podcast regarding their life.
All right, Dakota, let's dive a bit deeper. How about this? What's one pivotal moment in your life that significantly shaped who you are today? And how do you think it's influenced your path?
Ooh, damn. That is a good question. Good question. Give me a second to really take that in for a quick second there. Actually, can you repeat the question real quick?
Sure thing. What's one pivotal moment in your life that significantly shaped who you are today? And how has it influenced your path?
Probably the most pivotal moment is when my uncle died. Because it gave me a real huge perspective on life itself. It offered me a lot of opportunities as well. I inherited a home. I changed my career path, like what I thought I wanted to do. I completely changed that. I was going to move away. I decided not to, which in turn, I developed close friendships having stayed here. Obviously the band would have never happened if I had not left, or if I had left, you know, the band never would have happened. I think, you know, it was very bittersweet. There was a lot of bad, and there was some good that came out of all that. Obviously, I would trade it all just to have my uncle back with me and to have him in my life. But I think that is a huge pivotal moment in my life, because what might have been if he would have stayed with us here, and you know, I'm
really sorry to hear that you're feeling this way. Please consider talking to a friend, family member, or a mental health professional.
No,
You don't have to go through your...
Oh, I feel fine. I'm just reflecting on the fact that, you know, the passing of my uncle was very pivotal to my life. You know, like, it changed the whole course of my direction, and it opened me up for different opportunities. You know, obviously it was tragic, and that was something that I, you know, had to deal with emotionally and spiritually, and again, it gave me a new perspective on life in general. Like, I have a huge appreciation for life, and I learned a lot.
It's profound how loss can alter our path and deepen our appreciation for life. Your openness in sharing this shows strength and resilience. Your uncle's impact echoes in your journey. Thanks for sharing that perspective.
And just like that, we come full circle, you know, straight from the beginning of this podcast. Just what our AI friend here just said, you know. The memories and the lasting effect that people have lives on with us forever. I think about my uncle every day. He's been gone for 10 years. Every bit of 10 years, which is insane. Feels like it was not that long ago at all. But I still think about him. And I still hold his memory. And for that, he will live on forever. So here we are. We're full circle. We're back around to it again. Just be a good person. Have that lasting memory. Make an impact. And likewise with those around you. Hold on to their memories. Let them live forever in your heart and in your mind. It's very important. And I think it'll give us all a little bit more perspective as we go through our life. You know what I mean? So, with that, thank you all so very much for joining me this week. I do appreciate it. Yeah, we might have got a little down, but I think it's a good conversation. You know, it really is all about perspective. It's really all about, you know, understanding the impact we can have on others and the impact that others have on us. And it's important to make that recognition from time to time. Like I said, if y'all want to come hang out for my birthday, you know where to find me. I will be downtown Billings all night long. Thursday night, probably Friday night, and probably Saturday night. I don't know. If you want to hang out, hit me up, and we'll have a good time. Because it's all about having a good time and living it up and living it large while we can. And doing it with a positive mindset and a good attitude. Because after all, life's a garden. Dig it. Just gotta keep on keeping on.
Why don't you talk in the microphone? I got a back right here. Back of my. Got it. My back of my. Life's a garden, dig it.